Welcome to IoT Connectivity Simplified. We'll have to come up with a better name because that's a bit of a mouthful, but today we're going to take a look at some dashboard tools, and in particular we're going to have a look at the one I like to go to the most, which is the Dashboard UI, which is a standard Node-RED dashboard tool. So let's have a look how we install that. As per usual, manage palette. If I go into here and type in dashboard, you'll see one called Node-RED dashboard. It's already installed, but you can go through this. If I just click on this little arrow, it takes me to information about that, so you can see there's quite a few things on here that you can use. So there's some inputs and some outputs. We're going to be focusing mostly on the outputs today. We'll look at the gauges and the charts. Now, looking back at my project, I have here some values that I'm simulating. So I can just put my debug onto this just to show you. You can see here I'm simulating, I'm randomizing a level value. So I'll just stop that, and inside here you have a message topic, which will be important when you start linking this to trends. And over here, this is a JSON command to random a value around 3. Okay, so I have distance, level, and percent. Percent, I have 3, which is wrong, so I'm going to put in here, I'll put in 100. Okay, it does mean I'm going to have 100 and something percent, but at least it's moving it away from 3. So now I have my program ready to go and to link to some dashboard visualization nodes. So for some reason the dashboard filter doesn't really work very well on dashboards, but they are down the bottom, and the one we're going to look at to start off with is gauge. If we import this, and we'll have a look at 3 different gauges, but the first thing we need to do is to have a look at the layout. So the first time I put one of these in, I can link my process value into this, and then I start to see some bits and pieces that I need to start editing. So this here at the bottom is the look and feel, which is relatively easy to do, which we'll come on to. But the first thing I need to do is assign it to a group, and I haven't got any groups set up. So I can add a new group, and I will call it home. Okay, so I've got a tab called home, and I'm going to add that. So what does that mean? Let me just deploy, and I'll show you what this means, because you can edit this now. You don't have to be on this screen. You'll have a new tab here called dashboards. You'll have the main screen will be called home, so we can change that, and then underneath you have groups. But so what does this mean? So here you can see layout. If you click on that, you'll start to understand what the groups are. Now this is something you need to get used to with the groups. They work vertically, so whenever I add a new group, which I'll do in a minute, I've called this one default, and my gauge is going to sit here. Okay? You can set the width of it. The height of it is determined by what you have added into it, and the size of that actual widget, if you like. The groups can't be added underneath and go horizontally. The groups always go vertically. So when I add another group, it will go this way. Okay. Not brilliant, but once you understand, you can work with it. So here we have my group. If I wanted to add a new group, I can, and that's called group 2. I'll just deploy that, and we'll have a look at how that looks in the layout. Here we have group 2. The more I add, the closer they will get. And it's a little bit of playing around with your visualization and everything else, how you want it to look on the screen. So let's have a look at what we've actually got on the screen. I'm going to edit this group. I don't want it. Delete. And let's start rename it. Let's rename this group. We'll call this to vessel contents. Right, so when I deploy that now, let's have a look at my dashboard. So I can see here there's this little arrow. When you click on this, it opens your dashboard, and I can see here now this is renamed to vessel contents, and I can have multiple tabs if I want. I only have one at the moment, so you can build on this, but you can see it's brought in my floating point word that I'm simulating, and it's all over the place with regards to decimal places and units. It's a bit of a mess. So let's go in and have a look at this gauge in more detail. So first thing you'll see is name. So, well, we know it's level. Doesn't pull that through automatically, so you have to put it in manually. Units we're going to delete here, and then we're going to put in this command. So if I put in the vertical line and then type in number :2, that gives my displayed value 2 decimal places, and then I can put space and then units, put in meter. So once I have done that, I can deploy, and then I can have a look at my screen. So now this is looking at a lot more tidy with regards to the visualization. If I go back here, we have these color gradients, so you can start putting alarms at the top and bottom, and you can change these to wherever you want. I can see that my scaling is wrong though, because I've got 10 meters and I'm scaled to 3 meters. If I want it to go red, so I'm worried about it overfilling, this is just visual indication. It's not going to raise an alarm. I then can put in, say, 2.8 here. Right? So let's have a look at my gauge now when I deploy. Okay, so it color gradients as it gets closer to above 2.9. I get the issue. Okay, it goes red. Let's have a look at some other features in here. When you've got the size set to auto, okay, it will fill it into the width, the full width that you've got set. So if we go back to here and look at my layout, when it's set to auto, it automatically selects the full width of your group. So you can make it smaller, which is probably what I would advise to do. So here, let's go 3x3. Click done and deploy, and you'll see now that I've got smaller, and if I wanted to get more in, I can. So this allows me now to move things horizontally within my group, and that's why you would reduce the size. Let's have a look at some of the other options. So Control C and Control V, and then Control V, because you've got other visualization aspects that you can set this to. So I'm going to change the name to distance for this one, and then if you have a look on here, you've got gauge, but let's set it to donut. Done. And then there's one which is on here. I'll put this as percent with an R, and then this one's quite nice, level. That's actually what we're doing. So the first experience here, everything worked okay. So I'm just going to show you how it all works. So we have a gauge, a donut. I'll put the compass on in a minute so you can see this. And this level is working fine. But there's some things you need to be careful of when using this level indication. If we go back into here, we use this formatting here, the number to 2 decimal places, and then we put the unit. It seems that the level indication does a lot of that for you automatically, and so you can see here I've just got the value. It puts it to 2 decimal places anyway, but it definitely doesn't like. So if I delete this and put space M like I've done with the other one, so the unit comes by the side of the text rather than underneath it, if we go back to my indication, it doesn't work. Look, so come back into here, it's just for this level one, so we have to delete this and put the M. So normally what this is for, the units appear underneath the text. If we go to this one, I'll show you. So if I delete this M and put M here, this will appear underneath the text for the donut and gauge. So let me have a look so you can see this. So can you see here, look, the M is underneath. Well, for this one, there's no option. It's always by the side. So I think it was getting confused when I was trying to put it in the text, because I was trying to tell it to put it by the side, but it already does that. So yeah, so this one's quite nice. Let's have a quick look at the Compas, which is probably the one I would use the least. You've got your range there, deploy, and you can see here this is what it looks like. It doesn't really mean anything, so I'm going to set them all to level and tidy that up, and then we'll have a look at the dashboard. Now I've made those changes, I have my 3 process values horizontal, and the next thing I want to do is to add that trend I was talking about. Now this is where it's important, because the trend needs to have not just the process value coming in, it needs a topic as well, and that will make sense as we start looking at this. But you can imagine we've got multiple values coming in, and you can have multiple lines on a trend, but we need to label them up, and we can't label them up within the node, so it needs to be done before it gets in there. So again, let's come down to the bottom, and we can see here, I don't think they call it trend, they call it chart. So the chart here, and I'm just going to link all 3 of these. It looks like we can have up to 9. So those are linked in, and let's have a look at the settings that we need to make. So let's just do this as vessel level. So that's the label. The x-axis can be configured. If you're sending the data in really fast, less than a second, then you might want to use the points here. We'll do it as an hour, okay? And then you can see your x-axis label here. You can either have the time as your PC time or UTC. For me, I'm on Greenwich Mean Time, which is the same as UTC, so it doesn't really matter. If you leave the y-axis blank, it will automatically range, and then these are the colors. So it will, for each one of my inputs, so my level, distance and percent, they'll be represented by these colors here. So you can change them to something that's outside of these by just clicking and changing your color, but we'll leave it fixed. And then we're going to add the legend, and the legend is quite a neat tool for just focusing on one value on the graph at a time. Now the other thing we want to do, if we just click done on that, if we remember, if we go back to our dashboard view and go to layout, you can see here I've got it set to auto, so it's automatically picked 9 as my width, and it's picked 1, 2, 3, 5 down, which is fine. But if I want it higher than that, then I can manually set that. So if I go into here, set this, where rather than auto, I'll do 9, and then let's do 7. Right? So that's done. Deploy, and then I can click on this, but it's already open. Here is my trend, and it's auto ranging, so you can see here. If I just want to look at the percent, then I can turn the level and the distance off. My data's a little bit noisy because it's randomized. It wouldn't normally happen like this in real life. What's going to happen, this is going to fill up over an hour, so we need a way of resetting that, and we're going to use the button to send the command to reset the trend so it starts again. To achieve that, let's first of all have a look at the help. So if we go to vessel level, which is the chart function, and then the manual, you can see down here there's some instructions. So each input message is the message payload. We need to have the topic. What we're interested in is this line here. Inputting a message payload containing a blank array will clear the chart. First of all, let's test that with an inject button, and then we'll add a button to UI dashboard so a user can do it without going into the code and having to log in. So here we can see my trend, everything auto ranging. So probably if I turn off the percent, you'll see here it goes to around meters. Happy with that. We need to test this reset function. Here is my inject. I'm not repeating it, so it's a manual operation, and I've set the message payload to a JSON command with square bracket, space, that's important, and square bracket. So that's already been deployed. If I click on inject, so you can see here now it's cleared my trend history. So what we want to do now is put a button on this so we can reset the trend from our UI. And to do that, we're going to add the button command, which is down here. And we can see the button. And we have, right, what do we want it to do? We want it to send a JSON and then square brackets, not an M, sorry. So that's our command for resetting it. We can put a label on here. Reset chart. Done. Now this is the annoying thing that I don't like. This is going to be right at the beginning of our flow. So if I just drag and drop it, it puts it in here. But it needs to have this inject. Now I'm going to try it so it just injects it once after startup, and we'll test it. So we'll deploy that. Okay, and then let's go and have a look at our chart. So we've got our reset chart here, and that's working fine. The last thing I want to look at is how we can start adding icons. You can see here now, put a little icon on this button. It's relatively easy to do. What you need to look for is this node appearance tech note. These are the stock items on Node-RED, so you don't need to worry too much about these. You just copy and paste this bit of text. But where'd you put that? Well, let's have a look. If we go back to our node here, you can see the reset button. If I open this up, I have added this icon. So a good place to look for icons is Font Awesome. Okay, and it does mention that somewhere in this tech note. Here we go, Font Awesome. Okay, they're not that great, but you know, if you want to call it awesome, that's quite fair enough. So you've got here all sorts of different symbols that you can use. I've put in one already, but if I put in, is there one for trend? So you can do a search. Charts. There's one there for line chart, one there for bar graph. So if when you click on it, it should take you to a page where you can cut and paste the text in if you put in the command in, you know, via code. But for us, all we need is this description here. And if we go back to our chart, I've got something coming here. It says window restore. If I put this in, done, and deploy. If I go back to my trend, I can see here now there's a little chart symbol next to reset chart. So that's nice, polishes it up a little bit. Some other little bits and pieces, you can see I've called it vessel contents twice. So if you want to rename this, go back to your Node-RED, and it's all under this section here where you've got your dashboard. I can go to layout and edit that name. I'll keep this as vessel contents, and I'm going to call this group actually vessel 1, and I can deploy that. Rather than going into Node-RED here and having to launch my dashboard all the time, I can just add this to my bookmarks. So on Firefox, I just bookmark that current tab, and you can see here it just calls it Node-RED dashboard. Just to summarize what we've done in this video, we've added these gauges. So these things here are called gauges. Then we've added a trend, and we've had it auto ranging. And you can see here now my trend has been nearly going, well, it's been going over an hour, and this is the type of response you get. So it pushes out the old data and adds the new to the end. So and then if we want to have a look at the data instantaneously, we can reset that chart. We've added the button to do that. So we've got an input, some gauges, and a chart or a trend, whatever you want to call it, all using the Node-RED dashboard UI. I hope that was useful for you. Thanks for listening and hope to see you again soon.